Question 3, Honourable Member for Rushen, Mr Speaker.
Thank you, Mr President. To ask the Chief Minister whether the Government intends to bring the UK's digital services tax within the scope of the Common Purse Agreement.
Chief Minister to reply.
Thank you, Mr President. In order for the United Kingdom's digital services tax to be considered as a shared tax under the Customs and Excise Agreement, Common Purse Agreement, the Isle of Man would need to introduce a digital services tax on the same basis as that introduced in the United Kingdom, and have responsibility for collecting such taxes on the same basis as the United Kingdom, and reach agreement with the United Kingdom that the revenues generated would be shared. There is currently no intention for the Isle of Man Government to introduce a digital services tax on the same basis as that introduced into the United Kingdom.
Supplementary, Mr Speaker.
Thank you. Has the Chief Minister asked for an impact assessment on this tax? I appreciate it's only going to cover very large businesses in the first instance, and whether it will be something that needs to be covered in double taxation agreements or enforcement measures going forward.
Minister to reply.
Thank you, Mr President. This is, honourable members, seen as a complex tax that is potentially difficult to administer, as it is collected from companies that may be physically located in other countries. Additionally, the UK Government is openly committed to disapplying the digital services tax once an appropriate international solution is in place. The tax is applicable to services provided where the revenue generated from UK users is over £25 million. Given the relatively small population in the Isle of Man, the application of the 2% tax would not be expected to generate substantial revenues for the island, particularly if it was in place for a relatively short period, which is what has been indicated by the United Kingdom Government. And therefore, it's not something, that's the reason why we do not feel at this moment in time it is worth us going down this road.
Supplementary, Mr Speaker.
I thank the Chief Minister for his answer to the question. It just wasn't the question I asked him. Will this be something that has to fit into double taxation agreements and enforcement measures, lest we be accused of acting as a safe haven for digital tax dodgers?
Chief Minister.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. From that point of view, we would have to comply with international law, but more importantly, we would have to comply with the United Kingdom because it is a customs agreement. So whatever the UK ask us to do from a customs point of view or be compliant with, we would have to do with potentially double taxation if that is the case. I cannot give a total confirmation that is the case for the Honourable Member, but I will ensure that he gets one before the end of the week, copied into all Honourable Members.